Hello student, before we start our class for today, and since this is our first meeting, let me first introduce to you myself. I am Janrix Tiborcio and I am your English teacher for this subject. So let's start our lesson. Our topic for today is all about verbal communication and non-verbal communication. So to continue our topic, let me first expound what is verbal communication and non-verbal communication. So let's start first in verbal communication. It refers to an interaction in which words are used to relay a message. So in communication, there will be an interaction that will occur or happen between the speakers and the listeners or the audience. So say for example, the speakers want to ask questions towards his audience, and so the responsibility of the listeners or the audience is to give response. The speakers receive a response, so there is an interaction to happen. For effective and successful verbal communication, use words to express ideas which one can be easily understand by the person you are talking. We want a successful and meaningful verbal communication. We should use words in order to be understandable to anyone else, because we call it verbal communication because we tend to utter words to speak out. If we don't use words, do we think we can have a successful communication? Of course not, right? In communication, we also consider these things. The appropriateness of the words that we are going to speak, brevity, clarity, ethics, vividness when engaging in this type of communication. And later on, as our topic goes on, we will be discuss each of them. But now let's proceed to nonverbal communication. So nonverbal communication is our body language and everything we communicate besides the spoken word. Posture, gestures, dress and appearance, facial expression and the like. So verbal communication is opposite from verbal communication because it don't use words but more on gesture, like using our hands to communicate to other people, to communicate using our facial expression. Meaning, the flow of communication here is more on putting in action or movements with the use any part in our body, especially our hands, because this is the primary needed in nonverbal communication. The best example of it is a conversation with a person that can't able to speak. So you have to use gesture using your hands in order to understand each other. But first, you have to know the gesture language. And also, nonverbal communication refers to an interactions where behavior is used to convey and represent meaning. All kinds of human responses that are not expressed in words are classified as nonverbal communication. Examples are stares, smiles, manners of walking, standing and sitting, and many others. So now let's proceed for the things that we need to consider when we communicate towards anybody or any aspect, most especially in verbal. So we have here appropriateness. The language that you should use be appropriate to the environment or occasional, or etc., whether or formal or informal. So concreteness of the language is very important in communication and also in the environment where the communication will going to happen. We have to choose the proper language that we are going to use to make the communication meaningful. So we have the second one, we have brevity. So what is brevity? Speakers who often use simple yet precise and powerful words are found to be more credible. Try to achieve brevity by being more direct with your words. Avoid fillers and insubstantial expression which do not add to the message, such as you know, I guess, and others. In communication, it is not necessarily to use difficult words or words that can be difficult to understand to to avoid barrier or can't able to catch up between the speakers and the listeners. Simple but concise is much better, and also being on point with the statements so that the communication will going good. And also avoid fillers and insubstantial expression that can give cause for the communication to ruin. So the third one is clarity. The meanings of words, feelings, or ideas may be interpreted differently by listeners. Hence, it is essential for you to clearly state your message and express your ideas and feelings. So when you are speak, be careful on your words, in your feelings, and it should be appropriate in the voice that you are going to release, and also the feelings that you are going to express, so that the listeners can easily understand the meaning of your words and also your feelings as the speakers. And the last one is we have ethics. Words should be carefully chosen in consideration of genders, rules, ethnicity, preferences, and status of the person or people you are talking to. So ethics is also considered as behavior of the speakers. Behavior the way she or he speak to his or her audience or listeners. And the words should be selected carefully and must be fitted accordingly to the people that he or she about to talk. Manners will also apply for this type of communication to achieve the good outcome in communicating your listeners and your audience. That's all for today. I hope you understand about our topic that we have been discussing for this day. Thank you and God bless.